Hi everyone, thanks for watching. I'm Allie with the Potomac Bead Company, and I'm going to show you today how to make this great little bracelet that is a bracelet made with our new pyramid beads. The pyramid beads that we're using, as well as the SuperDuo beads, are both produced in the Czech Republic. I'm also going to be closing off my bracelet with a cup button that is, again, a Czech Republic product as well, so it's nice because you get a lot of color matches. And it's based on a peyote stitch, but you don't even need to know how to do peyote in order to do it, because we're going to be working with 2 needles and you really need no experience as well. It's a good kind of intro bracelet if you've never done anything before. The SuperDuos also have 2 holes, just like the pyramids do, going through them, so they work quickly and they're easy to use. For the bracelet that I'm going to be doing, the pyramid wise, you're going to need 5 pyramids, and I just have 2 sitting here to show you the difference in color. They're very close. I have the magic blue and the magic purple, and those 2 colors I'm going to alternate in my bracelet. And then the cup button that I'm using the lilac cup button along with those 2 different colors of my pyramids. The bracelet that I have here, I used 4. That gave me right about a 6 1/4 inch wrist. When I'm going to use the 5 total of the pyramids rather than 4, that's going to give me more about a 7 1/4 bracelet. So it's going to make it a little bit longer. Color-wise, for the SuperDuos that I'm choosing, I'm going to do the light violet, and the light violet SuperDuos are going to match really well with my cup buttons. And then I'm also going to use the jet vitriol in the SuperDuo as well. You're also going to have some 11O seed beads that you want to use, and the 11O seed beads that I'm using are the magic purple with them. You're going to use some thread, and we're using 0.006 Wildfire beading thread. You can use 0.008 too, either size will work. And I'm using the green color to match with some of my greens and purples. Anytime I have a green or a purple or a blue, I like to use the green color because it really fades in there really nicely. In addition to that, I just have a pair of scissors, or you have your thread burner, which is going to burn the end of your thread. And if you want to, you can have a needle nose pliers to kind of help flatten that out. Needle-wise, I'm going to be using size 10 English beading needles, and the size 10 English beading needles, we're going to be using 2 of those. So get your 2 needles out, and thread-wise, when you're thinking about how much thread, we're going to use about 6 feet of thread. So I have my materials laid out here, and I have my 2 needles on my thread. My thread's a little bit shorter. I'll definitely have to add thread, but that way it makes it a little bit easier to stay in frame for you. And what I'm going to do is I've taken my needle and my thread, and I've put 2 needles onto 1 piece of thread, so at either end. I'm going to actually start with my cup button, and to start with the cup button, I'm going to start with a SuperDuo. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this SuperDuo on my needles so that I have both needles going through the SuperDuo, one in one hole, one in the other hole. I'm going to let that drop down to the end of my thread. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to put on one of the cup buttons, and the cup button is going to go face down. And again, just like I did with my bead, I'm going to do and pull it down on it. What that does is it dresses up the end of the cup button a little bit, so when you're looking at it, it can kind of add a little bit of color to the end, and also it's a way to get the nice look of those beads together. After my cup button, I am going to add some seed beads. I'm going to add 2 seed beads on either side of my thread. So I'm going to add 2 seed beads on the left needle, and I'm also going to pick up the right needle and add 2 seed beads on the right needle. And I'm going to let those 2 seed beads drop down next to my cup button as well. So when you're looking now, you have the 2 seed beads on either side of your thread. What you do need to decide at this point is what color you want to be down the center and on the sides of your project. So when I'm looking here, down the center is my light green, and then my darker green is on the sides, and then my light green finishes up the sides. I'm going to do mine that I have my black in the middle, and then I'm going to have that light violet on the sides. So I'm going to be starting with my jet, and I'm putting, again, 1 bead on through both needles, and I'm going to let that drop down next to my cup button. So then you have on your cup button and you have on your first bead. After that, I'm going to alternate a pattern where I'm doing a purple or a violet on each needle. So I'm doing a purple or violet on each needle. And then I'm going to do a jet shared together. Again, I'm going to repeat that where I do a purple or a violet on each needle. And sometimes it's easiest when you're working with two needles like this, just to hold the needles up rather than to put them down. And again, I'm going to attach another jet to it. So I'm getting that diamond-shaped pattern. When I push that down then, I'm going to get that pattern or that start of my peyote, but because I'm using two needles, you don't need to see the peyote as much. And right now I have 2 sets of my purple on, and I have 3 of my center color. Normally you're going to have 3 of the center color. Because we're at the start, we're actually going to do 4 of our black, and then we're going to stick on our first of our pyramids. So I'm going to continue with that pattern that I just showed you. Again, picking up each needle and putting a light violet on each side, and then my black bead. I'm going to finish always next to my pyramid with my needles separated. So one seed bead or one duo, super duo on each needle. And I'm going to let that drop down. So when I'm looking at my example here, and I'm at the start, here's where I'm saying you have 4 of your center bead because you're right at the start. After that, in between each pyramid, we're going to put 3 of our center, and then you can count 4 high of our alternating color. So again, I have the 4 high here of my alternating color, and because this is the start, I just have my 4 of my middle. Before your pyramids and before you put them on, you're always going to put on 2 of your 11 seed beads on each needle. So 2 go on the left or top, 2 go on the bottom. After that, I'm going to put on my first pyramid, and the pyramids are just like the super duos and just like the jet vitral ones that I'm going to run my needles through, so that way you're going to end up with it looking just like this. On the other side, I'm going to repeat my pattern, doing 2 seed beads coming out of my pyramid. If you want, you can do it longer too. You could do 3 seed beads or a different bead. That's kind of up to you. And then after this, I'm going to get ready to go into my pattern. Again, on either side of the pyramid, I'm going to do this 2 seed beads followed by my outer color, which is going to be my purple. And then again, I'm doing my vitral and my jet. Again, 2 purples on each needle. And then I'm going to do another one of my jet till I have 3 of those jet beads in the middle. So there's 2. On go 2 more purple. Jet bead on. And then again, I'm going to finish up with my purple. Sometimes the holes of some of the super duos are clogged a little bit, so you need to check that and kind of, you can use a bead reamer or a pearl knotter to get that apart. Then again, like I said, we're going to end with our purple. Let those all drop down next to my last pyramid. And then I'm going to repeat my pattern, doing 2 of my seed beads on, my 1 needle, 2 on the other needle, and then on for my pyramid. When you're getting ready to put the second pyramid on, you want to make sure, because you already have 1 facing up, you want to make sure that you put the other one so that it's facing up and not facing down, because you don't want 1 facing up, 1 facing down. So you want to make sure to put the needles in the correct way. That one on the top, that one on the bottom. And then again, I'm going to start with that same exact pattern that I have in between these 2 here, the whole length of my bracelet. So I've now gone the whole length of my bracelet, adding my pyramids as I go, and that 4-3 rotation. When I get to the end here and I've added all 5 of my pyramids, what I'm going to do is get ready to do my loop for my clasp. You want the loop just big enough that you can fit your cup button through, but you don't want it too small that it's going to be really difficult to get on, or too large. So a number that I have here that I've done is 32 beads. If you want to use that, if you are using the cup button, that seems to work really well. Just like the start, at the end, I'm also doing 4 of my center beads, so 4 of my black beads. So in between we've done 3 here, and at the very end and the very start we've used 4. What I'm going to do is take my one needle and just kind of poke it into my bead mat, and I'm going to, with my other needle, pick up again about 32 of those beads. And once you get them on, we're going to reinforce with the other wire, or with the other thread. Because this is a bracelet that you go back and forth, like I said at the beginning, we do a great job of reinforcing that button and that clasp as we go down and back and forth. You can also do a little peyote stitch on the loop. If you're using a different type of closure, you would attach that now as well. And I'm letting those beads go right down next to my SuperDuo bead there. That was with my right or my upper needle. I'm going to poke that needle that I just used to put all those beads on into my bead mat. And I'm going to pick up the other one that was here at the bottom. I'm going to run this needle back through all of those beads. So I'm running it right down the line. Again, this is the other needle. And what that's going to do is put 2 threads going through and pulling them back the other way. As I pull the cording through, I'm going to pull both sides of the cording, and that's going to pull that little loop down. After I pull those both down, what I want to do is just do a simple knot. You don't have to do this, but I prefer to. I'm doing a simple knot just to kind of keep that loop tight. And that's going to tighten that loop that I've made. So I do one knot and then another knot. And tie nice and tight. That's going to get that loop ready to go. I'm going to take one of my needles now, and we're going to get ready to go back the other direction. Just like I did at the start where I added 2 beads before my button, I'm going to add 2 beads again on my right needle. I'm going to go through the first, or the top hole of the last purple SuperDuo that I put on, and pull that down. That's going to make up that gap there. Put that needle into my bead mat. I'm going to pick up the other one, and I'm going to sew through the other SuperDuo. At this point, I'm actually done with my purple SuperDuos, and I'm just going to be adding my jet SuperDuos. In between all of my purple or my light violet ones, I'm going to be picking up a jet SuperDuo and going through the top hole of the next light violet in line. And we're going to go right down the line, putting those on, both our right needle, our left needle, and our right needle. And running down the line. So you're going to be doing this from the right hand side as well as the left hand side. And again, we're adding in between every single one, I'm adding one of my alternating colors. When I get to the end and I'm through my last purple bead, what I'm going to do to go into my pyramid again is add one more of my black beads and one of my seed beads. And then I'm going to run through that same side hole in my pyramid bead. So there you have that one side done. I'm going to continue this pattern again on the left as well as on the other side of the pyramid. So I'll show you here, just as I'm coming out of the pyramid, I'm going to put one seed bead on. Get some of my jet beads closer here. Then a jet goes on and I pick up the first hole, or the top hole of the first bead. And I'm running through those, just adding a SuperDuo. And the nice thing is, because the SuperDuos are rather large and they have their two holes, this is a pretty decently thick bracelet that moves really quickly. And then I'm going to put on another bead. And again, I'm right before my pyramid. So on goes a SuperDuo and an 11-0. And then through the pyramid. When you come out the other side of the pyramid, you want to make sure that you're not grabbing onto any of the seed beads from the previous row. And there you have it. So we're just going to continue that on each side. So at the start, you're going to have 4 beads on. In between your pyramids, you're going to have 5 beads of your alternating color. Again, down the right, and then the whole way down the left side. So I've gone the whole length of my bracelet now, adding my beads down the left and down the right side. And when you get to the end, you're going to be coming out of a SuperDuo bead. What we're going to do is mimic the start of the bracelet, or I'm sorry, the end of the bracelet where we kind of turned around. And you're going to add 2 seed beads onto your right needle. And then we're going to go up through the 2 seed beads that are right there on the side, through the SuperDuo and the cut button, back down through the SuperDuo on the other side, and back down through the 2 beads on the other side. I'm then going to pick up my needle that's on the left. I'm going to add 2 beads on this side as well. Go up through, and this might be getting a little bit tight, but you're going to go up through the seed beads. It doesn't want to go right through the SuperDuo. There we go, right through the SuperDuo. Down through on the other side. When you come down through, try to catch those beads right away. And down through the 2 on the side. Since the beads are already on here and I have this needle in my hand, you're also going to go down the 2 that you just put on. And then I'm going to take my needle that's on the other side now, the needle that was on the right and now is on the left, and going to go down 2 that I just put on. Now we're going to get ready to add our last row coming down. Our last row coming down, all that it is actually seed beads. So you're done with all your SuperDuos. You can kind of push those out of the way if you have any sitting around, and we're ready to use our seed beads. So for this bracelet here, we're going to be using an alternating amount of seed beads, and I'll go over that in a second. I'm going to pick up my needle that is on my right hand side and work with that one first. On the right hand side here, I'm going to put 3 11-0 seed beads and then pick up my first jet bead that's there and go through the top hole. And that's going to just kind of make that nice little line there of the closure. From now on, I'm going to be putting on 2 11-0s between the SuperDuos and then alternating with a 1-2 pattern. That way it prevents it from kind of waffling or turning a little bit. So I do 2, 1, 2, and then the number on the side of the pyramids that you're going to put on is 9. So you're going to be putting on 9 seed beads. If you wanted to, you could decorate it too with an 8-0 seed bead, or you could put some crystals on the side. That's kind of up to you. I'm just going to keep it simple and use some seed beads on the side. So there's my 9 11-0 seed beads. When I come out the other side here, I did 2 previously, so this one's going to be a 1. So there's 1, Next one will be 2. Again, 1 and 2. And then after that, on go my 9 beads. And I'm just going to continue that pattern of that 2, 1 down the right side as well as the left side. So I've already finished the right hand side, and just to show you a little helpful hint, if you're right hand dominant like me, what I do is to do the left side, I actually flip the project upside down so that the spikes are there, and then I can work just on my right side as well. Again, a little refresher, you're doing 3 beads, then going into the top SuperDuo. And then you can cheat and look at the other side and see that it starts with a 2 pattern. And then we go 1. And then 2, 1, 2, 1. And then again on the sides of our pyramids, we do 9 beads. And that's going to kind of frame that pyramid in. And that way you get that nice framed in look. Again, would look nice with some other beads as well. So I'm done framing out my pyramids with my seed beads and kind of connecting to my 11 O beads. And when I get to the end, I'm going to be coming out of a SuperDuo, the last SuperDuo. And what I'm going to do is, just like I did next to the button to turn around, I'm going to add 3 seed beads on my right needle, go through the 2 that are right above. I'm going to do 3 seed beads on my left needle, go through the 2 that are already there. And at this point, I'm going to reinforce my clasp once again. I'm only going to do this with 1 needle. That'll make 3 times through. If I do another one, it starts to get a little tight. So I'm going to run the needle, and I'm working here with my left needle. Doesn't matter if you use left or right. I'm running it back through that loop for my button. I'm reinforcing it. Again, if you want to, you can do a peyote loop. That's up to you. You could be adding more beads. And I'm running down the side then. I'm going to try to catch as many beads at once as I can. And I've gotten almost to the bottom there. I'm missing 1 bead. I'm going to go back in and catch that last bead that I'm missing. Once I come out them, I have my 2 threads right next to one another. Just to make it easier, I'm going to burn those down a little bit. If you want to, you can take the thread and go back down the sides. That's kind of up to you. But now that I have 2 shorter pieces of thread, all I'm going to do is knot them right there to the side. And I have a double knot that I'm going to do. If you're a gluer, you can use glue. If not, what you can do is take your burner and burn down short. And then because it's a conditioned cord, you can kind of group those threads together and start to fuse them together. And the easiest way to do that is to push one towards the other. And then there you have your bracelet. And you'll have your bracelet completed. The bracelets, again, they're about 15 millimeters wide. And they look really nice on. The button closure is really easy to work with. You can open and close that, and then it looks like it was meant to be, since all of the products are Czech. Most of the products are Czech made or Czech finished. And it's a fun way to use these new pyramid beads. If you don't have the pyramids, you could always substitute for something else that has 2 holes. You'll just need to change your spacing a little bit. If you want your pyramids to be closer together or further apart, you'll just change how many SuperDuos you add in the middle as well. So you can kind of play around with the design and get different textures by adding different beads in there as well. You could use some seed beads in between or some crystals to kind of give it a little bling if you like the bling with it as well. But hopefully you have fun, get a chance to pick up some of these pyramids and play with them. They are fun. We have them in the 12mm ones. There's 6mm ones that are coming out soon that we will also be getting as well, and we'll do some more designs with those. But hopefully you enjoyed this and you get a chance to work with some of these great Czech products. If you have a chance, you can go to our website, PotomacBeads.com, check out our locations page, and come to one of the stores to take a class to learn how to do some of these projects or to buy materials. If you can't get to one of our stores, you live far away, you can always check us out online at thebeadco.com and purchase your pyramids and your SuperDuos and whatever you need there. So thanks a lot for watching, and happy beading, everyone.